Hi, welcome. This is our fourth video in this little series of creating an arrangement around a melody track. This time we're looking at the drum track. So by now you should have done your melody track, your harmony track, and your embellishment track. If you haven't, go check out the links nearby and complete those, and then pop back and have some fun with this drum track. So let's get into this one. So here I've got a little bit of a difference here. So I've got my melody track in here this time round. I've got the sample of my harmony track, and I've got a sample of my embellishment track that I had here. So for this purpose, next we're going to add the drum track. So this one's got a few steps, so bear with me as I walk you through this. So the first thing we need to do is to add the drum kit. So let's go up to the Edit tab. Down to Instrument. Again, you can press I for this. And then here we've got the instruments. So at the moment I've been using the woodwind instruments in my arrangement. I used the flute and the saxophone. You may have used some of the different ones. You may have used some of the brass instruments. Okay, but we're going to come down to percussion unpitched. And in here we've got some percussion instruments, but we're going to be using the drum set. So let's give that a go. Click Add, and then we've got our 4 instruments here. Let's click OK. And now we've got our drum set thing here. So we've got slightly a little bit different. So we have the drum kit clef here, which is different to our treble clefs. We've still got our time signature there. And we've got all the bars set up. Now, in order to click in these notes, we've got to come up to Note Input. And then, I'm going to go back a step. I'm going to click into the bar first, and then click on Note Input. And then that brings up this little score here. So if I hover over some of these, you'll see acoustic bass drum, side stick, acoustic snare, electric snare, low floor tom, closed hi-hat, and I'll let you have a look at some of those other ones there. So for our situation here, we're going to be doing the rock rhythm, so the traditional rock beat. So there's a bit of an order as to how I'm going to put these in successfully. So the first thing I'm going to do is select the quaver or 8th note up here, and then I've got my, over to this one, closed hi-hat. So I'm going to click on that one. And then you'll notice there's some letters above some of these. So this helps us in putting some of these in. So we're going to fill this bar. So with my G key, so I can click it with the mouse, but I'm going to use my G key on my keyboard and fill the bar. So I'm just pressing the G key until I've filled it. Okay, and this is why they're called 8th notes. We can fit 8 of these in a bar of 4/4, which is really cool. The next one I'm going to do is the kick drum. So we've just done close hi-hat. Going to do kick drum. For this one, I'm going to use the crotchet. Okay, and I'm going to come back to, I might use the acoustic bass drum. Okay, now with the acoustic bass drum, we're going to put that on beats 1 and 3. So that's going to match up with the first sound of the bar. And then you can see it automatically puts the rests in. I'm going to move over. Beat 2 is where the crotchet rest is. Beat 3 here. Okay. Now, here's the tricky bit. We're going to put in the snare drum part. So for this one, we're going to select the quaver note again. If you have the crotchet note, it's going to then replace some of these hi-hat notes with a crotchet. So make sure you've got the same rhythmic value as what's above it. Okay, so here I'm going to go back to the quaver. I'm going to move across here and find the acoustic snare. I like that sound. And we're going to put this one on beats 2 and 4. So remember, beat 1 and 3 had the kick drum. Beat 2, we're going to put that in here. Oops, I haven't selected the other one. Let's go back again. Click that in properly. So beat 2, beat 3, and beat 4. We've got that in there. Let's have a little listen to that. Okay, so we've got our basic rock beat. Now, we're using computers. So instead of having to click every one of those notes in, we can do one of two ways. We can copy and paste, and we looked at how to copy and paste in the last video. Or we can repeat the bar. So if I click into that bar and then use the R key, it repeats what was in that bar in the next bar. So I can keep very quickly filling up all the bars I need with that rhythm. Okay, and then I click out of that one. So now I've got that rock beat from start to finish. Okay, now we've got to make this sound a little bit interesting. So we've got to put some drum fills. So some basic ideas to get you started is to use the quavers or semiquavers. Okay, and I might do a couple of examples of those ones for you to do here. So where do you put drum fills? Well, that comes down to personal choice, really. So let's have a little bit of a listen, and we'll stop it with the space bar, or we can click it back onto this play stop button. So let's hear a bit. Okay, that kind of sounds like a good place to put one. At the end of that minim, so a minim goes for 2 beats, so roughly about here on beat 4 is where a nice drum fill might be. Okay, now a simple drum fill that a lot of drummers tend to do is a snare drum fill. So we've got our crotchet there. I'm going to turn that into a double snare drum hit. So I'm going to go back to the quaver, hit note input or select note input, and then I've got this. So let's put another quaver in next to that. Okay, so now I've got hi-hat and snare drum at the same time. Let's have a listen to that one. Okay, a little bit different. What happens if I take the hi-hat out? So I can select that note, click delete, select that note, click delete. Let's listen to this one. Okay, so a little bit different there. What happens if we wanted to have something a little bit different in there? So I mentioned these semiquavers, so we could put them in there as well. So let's select the semiquaver note this time. Okay, oops, I have just changed one of my other notes. So be careful you've got anything else accidentally selected. So I'm going to hit the undo button to fix that. Okay, I'm going to select off of the note. Now I'm going to select the semiquaver button. Select my note input, and then let's try that again. Note input. Let's select this note. Now, there we go. I'm going to turn that into a semiquaver, and I'm going to add another semiquaver next to it. So now I've created a little bit more of a complex rhythm where I've got a quaver to 2 semiquavers. Let's listen to that one. Okay, I kind of like that drum fill. So there's lots of things. I could add 2 more quavers. I could have 4 semiquavers across this one if I wanted to. So there's lots of different sorts of ways we can do it. Okay, if I go back into that score, we've also got other sounds. So I've got toms, high toms, mid toms. I've got a Chinese cymbal. I've got a crash cymbal. So there's lots of different sorts of sounds that you could use to create your drum fills. Okay, so to give you a few more ideas, let's play this one I've got before here. I've got in this one, I've got some drum fills using this rhythm and the 4 semiquavers. I've also got at the end, I've done a drum fill using some of the toms and a crash cymbal. Okay, so these might give you some ideas on what you might do with your drum kit parts. So let's have a little quick play through this one. Okay, So hopefully that's given you a few ideas to do with your arrangement of this Twinkle Twinkle Little Star melody. So just a quick recap, we've done a melody track, inputting some notes using crotchets and minims. We've also explored quavers and semiquaver, possible rhythm ideas. We've looked at adding tracks, transposing, copying and paste, different sorts of things. And we've looked at inputting a drum kit part. Okay, now things you could do with this. Imagine if you started with your own melody and applying these same techniques and skills, you could create something quite interesting. Imagine if you created your own melody. So these are some things you could take this task a little bit further. If you've enjoyed this video, definitely comment below. Definitely think about subscribing so you'll know about any other videos that I might be doing. Thanks for listening.